The next thing that I want to do is I want to make some buttons in my main menu. And obviously if I look over here in the palette, there are buttons. I can add a button. I can just take it and drag it here, and you'll see that that creates this new button called button 117, and it is quite large. So this is not really the way that I want to add my buttons. I'm going to delete this, and we'll take a look at the things that I've got here. First, I've got this image called image 292, not a great name. I'm going to call this background image. Background blur is a fine name, but what I want to do is I want to create a thing that will let me house some buttons, and the background blur isn't going to work for that. What I need instead is either a horizontal or a vertical box. A horizontal box will let you list your buttons horizontally, a vertical box vertically. We'll start with the vertical box here. So there's my vertical box. I'll take it and just pull it down here, and it comes nested in right there. Its default size is 100 by 30, and it anchors again in the upper left. I'm going to give it a center anchor. You see that centers to the center of the board, and that's where I get confused with this interface a little bit. For me, when I change the anchor point, that should be the anchor point of the unit that I'm dealing with, so just ignore me sometimes. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to make this roughly a third of the size of my entire canvas that I'm working with. So 1920 by 1080, a third of that is going to be 640 by 360. And now if I change my alignment XY, I should be able to get that. That should be half of 1920, but of course I didn't do that math. So let me just pull up a calculator real quick. There's my calculator. 1920 divided by 2 is 960. So I'll put that here in X. We'll say 960. And that flew it way off the page, so clearly my math isn't good. I will just take this box and move it around. I should be able to just grab it and slide it. Oh, Unreal. Sometimes you are so finicky it drives me a little crazy. So I might as well go ahead and add my buttons now and then move it in the next video when I've got my math done a little bit better. So I'll go back here, close this out, and I'll just nest a button into the vertical box. And you'll see that what happens is the button comes in and it slides across to fill the width. It's named button 261. I'll make some text and stick the text onto the button so that it is the child of the button. This first button, let's go over here and instead of text block, we'll make it say play game. Maybe we will make that a little bit bigger. Go up to 48. That makes the button bigger too. That looks nice. If I go back into the button, I can go into its style, and under the style I can change its color, so you can see you can apply an image, or you can just come in here and give it a color. There's its tint. So maybe I want to make this one just a little bit brown. And if I go back in, I can also make it a little bit transparent. Ooh, that'll be pretty. Very nice. Let's save that up here so that I have a copy of the color. And now if I go over hovered, so when my mouse hovers over this, we'll give it a little tint. This one, let's start with this, but then we'll make it a little darker. And maybe we'll go a little redder. That'll be cool. And then for pressed, again, I'll come in, I'll give it a tint, and we'll start with this, but we'll go super dark, super saturated, and all the way over to purple. So now I've made a really cool custom button. Back over in my hierarchy, I will right-click on it to rename. I'll call this one my play button. And then I will Control W to duplicate it 2 times. This next one I will rename. This one will be my credits button. That'll take us over to the credits. And this third one will be the quit button. And that'll take us to quit the game, which is one of the things that we really need to do. So again, back in the details, I have the text selected. And I will have this one say quit game. This one I will have say credits. The buttons are all really close together, so the last thing I'll do is come in with the button selected. Each button has a bit of padding, so I can give them maybe just a few pixels between them. I think 25 looks pretty nice. Let's see if that will space them all out. Okay, that looks good. And now I should be able to just take this and slide it all around and move its anchor back to the center. And I'm feeling pretty good about that. I think that these buttons look really nice. So I will pause this here, and when I come back, we will start making some of these buttons work.